Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to dive in Season 3 of Jobless Reincarnation. After spending the night with Rudeus, Eris finally realizes something. Although they've become lovers, she's always been the one relying on him. She doesn't believe she's strong enough to stand beside someone like Rudeus. So, determined to become worthy of him, she cuts off her long hair and leaves on a journey with Gillinal to become stronger. Years later, Gillinal brings Eris to the Sword Sanctum to meet her former master, the legendary sword god Galfarion. The moment they meet, Eris bluntly says she has no interest in someone like him. Rather than getting angry, the sword god notices the hatred burning in her eyes. He asks a simple question. "Who do you want to kill?" Without hesitation, Eris answers, "Dragon god Orsted." Everyone around her is stunned. Very few people even know Orsted's name, let alone dream of defeating him. But instead of laughing at her, the sword god smiles. Compared to Orsted, he says, he's nothing. Then he decides to test her strength. Her first opponent doesn't even have time to react. Before the match officially begins, Eris rushes forward and knocks him unconscious with a single strike. For the second match, she's forced to wait for the signal. This time her opponent secretly hides a real sword inside a wooden practice sword. The moment they clash, Eris' weapon shatters. But instead of admitting defeat, she throws away her broken sword and charges in with her fists, completely overwhelming her opponent. After seeing enough, the sword god steps forward himself. This time, Eris is completely outmatched. With a single effortless attack, she's sent flying. Even so, the sword god is impressed. Ignoring everyone's objections, he declares Eris a sword saint and announces that he'll personally train her. Many instructors protest. They argue that only someone who has mastered the Sword of Light deserves that title. But the sword god shuts them down. Eris defeated 2 disciples who had already learned that technique. For him, that's proof enough. Training begins immediately. Eris challenges the sword god. She's defeated. Whenever thoughts of Orsted distract her, the sword god reminds her. Don't think while fighting. Swing your sword. When you're exhausted, rest. Think while you rest. Then stand back up. And keep swinging. Eris follows those words without complaint. If she wants to stand beside Rudeus, she has to become even stronger. One day, the North Emperor, Aubert Corbett, arrives at the Sword Sanctum. The sword god personally invited him to train Eris in the North god style. Gillinal doesn't understand why. She believes Eris only needs the sword god style. But the sword god explains that Orsted has mastered every fighting style. If Eris wants even the smallest chance of defeating him someday, she can't rely on only one style. She has to learn everything. So Eris begins training under Aubert as well. Despite learning from another master, her goal never changes. She wants to become strong enough to stand beside Rudeus. During one of their sparring sessions, she finally recalls the movement the sword god used years ago. She recreates it perfectly, and successfully performs the Sword of Light. Even Aubert is impressed by her growth. Meanwhile, one of the sword god's disciples, Nina, grows curious. Eris constantly talks about someone named Rudeus as if he's an unbelievable genius. Thinking it's all exaggerated, Nina decides to investigate him herself. Her search eventually leads her to the Renoa Magic University. By coincidence, this is before Rudeus publicly reveals Sylphie's identity. When Nina arrives, countless challengers are already waiting to fight him. Before she even gets the chance to see Rudeus, the demon king Badagati suddenly appears and challenges everyone in line. He effortlessly defeats every challenger, including Nina. Moments later, Rudeus finally arrives. Badagati generously allows him to attack first. Without hesitation, Rudeus unleashes a single devastating spell. The demon king is defeated in one hit. Watching everything unfold before her eyes, Nina is left speechless. She finally understands. Eris wasn't exaggerating. Rudeus really is that incredible. After returning to the sword sanctum, another legendary figure arrives. The water god herself. The sword god invited her to help train Eris. The moment she meets Eris, she immediately senses the overwhelming killing intent surrounding her. Instead of teaching Eris directly, the water god decides to test her first. First, Eris must defeat one of her disciples. The duel begins. Eris instantly unleashes the Sword of Light technique, but her opponent blocks it with ease. Moments later, Eris is defeated. Then it's Nina's turn. With a perfectly timed Sword of Light technique, she defeats the very same opponent in a single strike. Everyone is confused. Because Eris can defeat Nina. Nina can defeat the water god's disciple. And yet the disciple can defeat Eris. Each fighter has an advantage over another. Rather than simply training harder, all three girls to sit down and discuss their battles together. As they exchange advice, Eris finally learns why she keeps losing. Her killing intent is so overwhelming that experienced opponents can easily predict exactly when she's about to attack. Nina also discovers why she always loses to Eris. Instead of reacting to her opponents, Eris controls the flow of battle and forces her opponent to move first. The three continue training together and gradually improve. Later, Nina invites Eris on a monster hunt to obtain the hide needed for a traditional sword saint cloak. During the hunt, Eris casually uses fire magic, surprising everyone. She proudly explains that Rudeus was the one who taught her magic. After defeating the monsters together, Nina gives Eris one final piece of advice. If she wants to hide her killing intent, she shouldn't think about fighting. She should think about the person she loves. The next day, Eris follows that advice. She cleans herself up, thinks about Rudeus, and enters another duel. This time, her opponent can't sense her attack at all. Eris lands a clean strike and finally claims victory. Watching from the sidelines, the Sword God, the North Emperor, and the Water God all realize the same thing. Eris isn't just becoming stronger. She's steadily becoming the warrior capable of standing beside the man she loves. And that's where episodes come to an end. What are your thoughts on the new episode of Didi Reincarnation? Will Rudy get his third wife in this season? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And also don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in next video.